Hello everyone, it's Gilly Monster and I'm back with yet another Gundam video. In the last couple of videos just covered me making my Hagog model, also known as Lucky Number 13. In this one I'm going to be making the Guntank early type, but this first segment is actually a tutorial on how I do what's called a paint bath. And this is similar to a wash except for the fact that it doesn't actually use any sort of a brush. Now this makes it, I think, perhaps a much more organic kind of grime and detailing than something risking having brush strokes or streaks or something along those lines. So in here is my wash, and this is different than the last one I had in that this one is only about 1/3 paint thinner to 2/3 water and kind of a flat gray paint. It's slightly darker than the plastic. You can see it right there. I just did a little test patch on the inside. But how I'm going to do this is, usually paint thinner and water do not mix. So what you need to do is mix it really well, kind of like how the components in the paint will separate. And do that. Take out the little rubber stopper. And you take a glass jar and you're just going to pour it in. Now, something you need to take into consideration is the color of the plastic that you're working with. Like, say, if you're using kind of like a really dark gray, like this track piece right here, you probably want to use a black wash, so that way it makes those details pop out because the paint would be darker than the actual plastic. The same way, if you're doing kind of like a lighter gray, then instead of using straight black, unless it's like kind of grease or detail marks, then you want to use something darker like I'm using. And literally, once you have your stuff in the jar, you literally just do this. Just very carefully, so that way you don't. Just want to get this all kind of goopy. Tap off the excess, turn it around, and then do the exact same thing. Now, see, the cool thing about this is you have yourself a ready-made wash, and then really all you need to do is take it out. Tap off the excess. It's okay if it splatters a little bit. Now, unless you have multiple jars around, you kind of have to keep these things more or less color separated, and I think that'll actually do fairly well. And then that'll actually help some of the details stand out. Of course, I'm probably going to go back over that with some more almost like a black wash type thing, because this is a track piece and it will actually have things like grease and dirt and stuff like that. But as far as bringing out like other details, like these kind of these angles like right here, doing my little technique is actually very good because it naturally wants to conform to the shape of the plastic. And the reason why I'm tamping this out as much as possible is also because paint thinner has the unfortunate tendency to wear away plastic. And then let's try one of the main body pieces. This should be good. The only downside of this is that it actually does require some pretty extensive drying times. There we go. And then once the actual main exterior is dry enough to handle, you want to go through, if there's anything that has like some sort of a socket, you want to go through and use Q-tips or makeup applicator sponges like those and just remove the excess. Okay, time to catch up a little bit. Well, as you can see, I've actually moved quite a ways into the assembly process for the early type Guntank, and the gray wash has dried. You can kind of see it there. It'll look better once I actually get some flat clear coat on there, but it just kind of gives it almost like an extra added dimension, like texture almost. And then I did the same thing for the black wash. We'll go that one on the treads, and then also a partial black wash on some of the wheels and the suspension elements. You see I missed a wheel right there, but I'll go back and get that later in the touch-ups. And then I was just getting ready to assemble the head, and I kind of had an idea similar to how I did my Hygog eye. Let's see if I can get this thing in frame. This massive monster. If you can see it right there, the eye is quite a bit more noticeable than under normal circumstances, where it used to be just a simple clear piece, kind of like that green, almost like the same kind of intensity, only it was pink, and because of the black background it didn't really show up. So what I did here with the head for the Guntank, yeah, ooh, almost jacked that up, is I actually layered a couple layers. I actually gave it a couple layers of paint underneath where the visor is going to sit, and I gave it a white edging, then a little bit of flat beret green, and then some silver. So I was going to add this, and that'll help give it a little extra dimension underneath. So here goes nothing. I really need to get a semi-decent applicator or a semi-decent model paint or glue. It's well on the way to midnight right now, so my mind's not quite with it. There we go. Okay, maybe not. Oh. You jack that up, royal. Well, thankfully that's what paint thinner is for, so I'll be right back. Okay, well, live and learn. So I should have test fitted that before I tried to put any paint behind it, but oh well, you know, what are you gonna do? Oh, and also on a side note, the little ball joint on here also broke when I was trying to install like the little, come on, I was trying to install a little poly cap right there. The ball joint literally shattered into 3 pieces, so these tracks are going to be fixed. And you know, I kind of thought the moving tracks thing was a stupid thing anyway, so you know, whatever. Okay, everybody, so all the little detailing and all the striping and little stickers are all done. I also did some extra little bit of weathering for the tracks. I gave it just kind of a silver dry brushing, because at least in the anime series, this stuff is on concrete, so I'd imagine that would tear up the tracks pretty good. And I also did a black wash for the fabric covering the arms. I did a painted on green stripe instead of using the little sticker, because this one's a little bit more brilliant, and just because it's like, if I can do it with masking tape, then I'll do that, just because it adds a little bit more love to it instead of using the sticker. But that doesn't mean I didn't use the stickers. You can see one right there. I used kind of the unit designators and all that stuff up in there. And I was really proud actually about these little kind of visor stripes up in here, and then the same thing on the underside here. I also did just a little tad bit of rust around like the tow hooks and such, just to kind of help break it up, and a little bit more attention to detail. And then a couple very special things actually I think that turned out very well is hazard striping that I did using masking tape. Basically I just laid a strip out and then kind of cut out diagonal stripes and then just laid them on there very carefully over a black background paint type deal. So I'm getting ready to give this thing its clear coat, so I'll do a final video after that's done.